He grew up in a small, forgotten neighborhood where cracked roads and unpaid bills were part of daily life. His mornings began before sunrise, helping his mother with chores before heading to a low-paying job and night classes. Dreams were his only luxury. While others chased comfort, he chased hope, believing that one day his hard work would lead him somewhere beyond survival. She lived in a world that felt unreal to him. Glass mansions, private drivers, security guards, and dinners where deals worth millions were discussed casually. As America's richest girl, her life was carefully designed by others. Every step she took was monitored, every friendship approved, every future decision already planned. Despite having everything, she often felt trapped, lonely, and unseen as a person. Their worlds collided in the most unexpected way, at a charity event where he was working as temporary staff. He spilled a drink near her table, expecting anger or humiliation. Instead, she smiled and helped him clean up, apologizing as if it were her fault. That moment shocked him. No one with her status had ever treated him like an equal. What began as short conversations turned into quiet meetings and long talks about life, dreams, and fears. He spoke about struggle and self-respect. She spoke about pressure and isolation. Slowly, a bond formed that ignored the gap between their worlds. He admired her kindness. She admired his strength. But the difference in their lives was impossible to hide. When people saw them together, whispers followed. Friends warned her. Co-workers mocked him. Social media began noticing a mystery boy beside the billionaire heiress. Judgment arrived before understanding. Still, love grew stronger. They found comfort in each other's honesty, something neither wealth nor poverty could buy. Yet deep down, both knew their happiness was standing on fragile ground. The world they lived in was already preparing to test their love, and the first shadows of rejection were beginning to fall. The secret could not stay hidden for long. In a world ruled by cameras, gossip, and influence, love became news. When her family discovered the relationship, the reaction was swift and brutal. To them, he was not a person. He was a risk, a flaw, an embarrassment that threatened generations of carefully protected power. He was summoned to their mansion under the excuse of a simple conversation. The moment he stepped inside, he understood the truth. The silence was heavy. The walls were lined with portraits of success, wealth, and authority, none of which included people like him. Her father didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His words were calm, sharp, and humiliating. He questioned the boy's background, income, education, and worth, reducing his entire existence to numbers and status. In front of lawyers and family members, he was told plainly, he did not belong. He was offered money to leave her life forever. When he refused, the cruelty intensified. His job was threatened. His past was investigated. His mistakes were exposed and magnified. The message was clear. Wealth could erase him at any moment. Outside the mansion, the humiliation continued. Rumors spread across elite circles. Media headlines mocked the poor nobody dating a billionaire's daughter. Online comments tore him apart. Strangers judged him without knowing his name. Even his friends began to distance themselves, afraid of the attention and pressure. She tried to fight back. She confronted her family, defended his character, and refused to apologize for loving him. But resistance came at a cost. Her accounts were restricted. Her freedom was limited. She was reminded that everything she had, her lifestyle, education, and future, could be taken away. Caught between love and power, they clung to each other in quiet moments, knowing the storm was only beginning. Every insult, every threat, every public humiliation tested their bond. And slowly, the weight of the world began pressing down on the poor boy's heart, forcing him to question whether love alone was enough to survive such cruelty. The pressure became unbearable. What started as whispers and warnings turned into direct threats. Her family no longer tried to hide their intentions. They controlled her movements, monitored her calls, and surrounded her with people whose only job was to keep him out of her life. Every door that once felt open now closed in front of them. He watched the toll it took on her. The girl who once laughed freely now spoke in careful sentences, her eyes constantly scanning the room. Her dreams were being rewritten by others, and he knew he was the reason. Each time she defended him, the punishment grew harsher. Scholarships were questioned, opportunities were delayed, and her future was used as a weapon. One night, he made the most painful decision of his life. He realized that loving her meant destroying her world. No matter how strong their feelings were, wealth and power were stronger. He chose sacrifice over selfishness. Without telling her the full truth, he created distance, missed calls, short replies, cold words that cut them both deeply. When they finally met to talk, the pain was unbearable. She begged him to stay, to fight with her, to believe in their love. But he couldn't look into her eyes and admit that fear had won. Instead, he lied. He told her he was tired, that he didn't belong in her life anymore, that their love had been a mistake. Every word felt like tearing his own heart apart. She walked away in tears, believing she had lost him to doubt, not sacrifice. That misunderstanding became the deepest wound of all. From that moment on, they lived in separate worlds again, connected only by memories and regret. Years passed. He struggled alone, haunted by what he had lost. She moved forward in silence, surrounded by luxury that now felt empty. Neither healed, neither forgot. Their love did not end with closure, it ended with silence, leaving behind two broken hearts and a story the world would never understand. After the separation, life showed him no mercy. The pain of losing her followed him everywhere, on crowded buses, in sleepless nights, and in the quiet moments when memories refused to fade. He returned to the same small room, the same financial struggles, but he was no longer the same boy. The humiliation he had endured burned inside him, not as hatred, but as fuel. At first, he failed repeatedly. Jobs slipped away. Opportunities closed before opening. People still saw him as the poor boy who had dared to reach too high. But this time, he refused to bend. He worked longer hours, learned new skills at night, and invested every ounce of energy into improving himself. Where others gave up, he endured. He remembered her words, the way she once believed in him when no one else did. That belief became his strength. Slowly, progress appeared. A small business idea turned into steady income. His reputation grew, not through money, but through honesty and discipline. People began to respect him for his work ethic, his resilience, and his quiet confidence. Years passed, and success followed. Not the loud, flashy kind, but the solid kind built on struggle. He paid off debts. He supported his family. He stood taller, no longer afraid of powerful rooms or wealthy names. The boy who had been humiliated learned that worth is not granted by status. It is earned through character. Meanwhile, the world started noticing him. Invitations arrived. His name appeared in places where it once didn't belong. Without realizing it, he had entered the same circles that once rejected him. Yet his heart remained unchanged. Success did not erase his past. It honored it. He never stopped thinking about her. Love didn't disappear. It matured into something quieter, deeper, and more painful. Fate, however, has a strange sense of timing. As he finally stood on his own feet, confident and self-made, destiny prepared to bring him face to face with the girl who once loved him, and with the people who once said he was not good enough. Their reunion happened in the most unexpected place, at a high-profile charity gala attended by America's most powerful families. He walked in confidently, no longer as staff or an outsider, but as a respected guest. His presence turned heads, not because of wealth alone, but because of the calm authority he carried. The same rooms that once judged him now whispered his name with curiosity and respect. She noticed him across the room and froze. Time seemed to collapse into a single breath. The boy she had loved, the one she had lost without understanding why, stood before her, stronger, composed, and unmistakably changed. Yet when their eyes met, the past rushed back with painful clarity. Their first conversation was careful, emotional, and filled with unspoken questions. Words failed them, but the truth could no longer stay hidden. Away from the crowd, he finally confessed everything: the threats, the pressure, the sacrifice he made to protect her. The lies he told to push her away. The years of silent regret. Tears replaced anger as she realized she had never been abandoned. She had been loved selflessly. The confrontation with her family followed. This time, the power balance had shifted. He stood as an equal, no longer begging for acceptance. He spoke calmly, firmly, exposing the cruelty they once justified as protection. The room listened. Respect replaced arrogance. Silence replaced mockery. Her father, once untouchable, had no words left. Wealth could no longer define worth. The poor boy they dismissed had become a man impossible to ignore. The ending was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet, mature, and real. Love didn't need approval anymore. Whether they chose to walk forward together or apart, one truth remained unshaken. Their love survived humiliation, sacrifice, time, and power. And in that moment, the world that once rejected him finally understood. He was never not good enough.